Hey, Charlie, where are we gonna go? We're gonna go over to Eddie's house and see these movies?
What, Charlie? What are you
What
movie?
movies?
Go to Eddie's
house. Hey, Walter!
Hey, Walter, come here.
Hey, Charlie. Hey, Charlie, who's your beautiful girlfriend, Charlie?
Charlie!
Excuse me, my friend wants to know who you are.
Are you gentlemen from out of town?
Indiana. Ain't that right, fellas? We're from Indiana, right, man? Indiana? We're from the Hoosier State, man.
We're from Terre Haute.
That's right, man. We're from Terre Haute. We're down here in the big city for the first time. We just don't know what to do with ourselves.
Must be a convention in town.
We're right off the ranch and we're just raring, huh?
Right, we're raring.
We're down here in Greenwich Village, ma'am, looking for some wild bohemians. Do you happen to know any wild bohemians?
All right, fella, enough's enough.
I'm a bit of a poet myself, ma'am. Many's a long night I spent in the bunkhouse, just right by the light of a flickering kerosene lamp. Would you like to hear one of my poems, ma'am? They're not very much, but they're right from the heart, ma'am.
You have a sense of humor, haven't you?
Hey, don't stop now, man. You're doing great.
Oh, sure.
Oh, what's your name, honey? Where you going, honey?
I'm going to this party, and I'm not certain I'm invited myself, so I can't very well ask you.
Well, sure you can.
How nice to see you, darling. Who are your friends?
It was the Vegas idea. I was ambushed crossing 6th Avenue by a tribe of the Terre Haute Kiwanis or something.
Go away, you man. Go back to the Biltmore Hotel and put on your red cats.
I always thought you city folks were more hospitable to us poor farm boys.
I'm sorry, man. One of the fellas here's getting married, Sonny. We're just horsing around a little bit.
Why don't you come back when you get rid of your friend?
Hey, oh, he'll be back, honey.
Hi there.
Did you see that older fellow I was talking to before?
Yeah?
That's my landlord. Last night about 10:30, somebody began pounding on my door, so I got up to see who it was, and I opened the door, and here was this elderly gentleman with a pince-nez, and I said, "What do you want?" And he said, "I'm the landlord, and I want the rent." Well, I just looked at him, because the landlord I know is a Hungarian man named Frank, who's absolutely crazy about me, so the issue of the rent never came up, you see. Well, it turns out that this old man with the pince-nez had bought the building the day before. He kept grabbing my arm and yelling about how he wanted the rent. Well, I got the point right away, of course. Meanwhile, this friend named Bob came over. He's engaged to a Javanese girl with wonderful planes in her face who lives at the International House. But he's absolutely crazy about me, and he drops in about twice a week. Well, meanwhile, my new landlord kept grabbing my arm and yelling some garbled French poetry he was trying to pass off as his own. He's an absolute fraud. Starts the whole thing from Baudelaire. Tu mettrais la gueule, you know the one. Well, he kept screaming about how he wanted the rent, and I didn't like him very much anyway, so I finally called this boy named George I used to know who lived in Poughkeepsie when I went to Vassar. He lives in St. Luke's place now. Well, he goes to see his mother every Wednesday in Poughkeepsie. He's got an Oedipus. So that was out. Well, meanwhile, my new landlord kept yelling about how much he was in love with me, and I said, "How existentialist can you get? You only met me 5 minutes ago." He was absolutely insane about me.
You got an apartment around here someplace?
So I finally got to bed this morning about 6:30.
What's up there? What kind of rooms they got up there?
Oh, stop trying to be so primitive.
Come on, let's go.
No. I find you very unpleasant.
Sorry.
There's nothing upstairs. I don't care. So I finally got to sleep this morning about 6:30. 9:30, somebody began pounding on my door again. So I got up and opened the door, and there stood my landlord with a pince-nez and a blue silk kimono. And I said, "Oh, for heaven's sakes, what do you want now?" And he says, "I'm the landlord, and I want the rent." And I said, "You're an old man, go to sleep." Well, about that time, the telephone rang. There's this boy I know named Andrew who teaches physics at Columbia University, and he's insanely jealous. Got a wife and 4 children, but he's always badgering me to run away with him to Nicaragua, throw up his professorship and all that. Well, meanwhile, my landlord kept yelling some garbled Baudelaire and a little Weissman and a little Verlaine thrown in for good measure. He has a fetish for French decadence. Anyway, Andrew heard him naturally, and he said, "Who's that I hear?" And I said, "That's my landlord." And he says, "What does he want?" And I said, "He wants the rent." Well, at this point, I felt like chucking the whole thing and going back to Bessemer City and going to work in my father's hardware store. Just say you love me.
What?
Just say you love me. You don't have to mean it.
What's the matter?
Say you love me.
Oh, come on.
say you love me.
Come on.
No.
I love you. I love you.
Look, maybe we better go someplace else, huh? I tell you what, I've got a very tricky situation going with my landlord, and I don't want him to see us leaving together. I tell you what you do. There's a little bar down the street. You just go out on the street and turn right, and it's right there. You know the one? I'll meet you there in about half an hour. Now, promise you'll wait, because I can't stand being alone at night. You like me. I'm supposed to be very amusing. Okay?